Oh, hi guys, how you doing? So I know apologies for how long this has taken me to do. A lot of you have been asking what I have with me when I do my wild camping and landscape photography. So I thought I'd go through everything I bring with me on my trips. I wanted to leave it a few months because I do keep changing my gear, and I wanted to make sure anything I do talk about I can actually recommend, and I've used enough to do so. So okay, I'll talk about the everything I've got in my bag. This firstly is a OSPREY KESTRAL 68 litre rucksack. Absolutely fantastic. I can't recommend this enough. It is a stunningly well built bag, stunningly well designed. Yeah, not too heavy, but it's very, very, I mean, I've used it quite a lot and there isn't any signs of marks on it at all, so I can definitely recommend that bag. Okay, what have we got on the outside? Well, this is kind of a new thing, but trekking poles. It's something I've only done in the last sort of 3 to 6 months. I used to laugh at people using trekking poles, but to be honest with you, when you're carrying a lot of weight, normally around 20 kilos, these are a tremendous help, and I probably wouldn't be able to do half the stuff I do without my trekking poles. So they're just Lecky Quantum trekking poles. Weren't particularly expensive, 50, 60 quid, that sort of thing. I'll put a link to everything that I talk about in the description of the video below, so if you want to click on anything, it will take you through to Amazon and you can pick them up. So yeah, very, very good though, I do recommend them. Okie dokie, what else have we got in the bag? On the other side I've got my tripod. I'll just unclip this. Drop the bag down there. Right then, so the tripod I use, I bought this solely for hiking, landscape photography and wild camping. It's a Siru T1204X carbon fibre tripod. It's extremely light. It's less than a kilo without the tripod leveler I've got there and without the head. I think it's probably about 1,500 in total. But it's an extremely well made tripod. It's really, really strong. I didn't expect it to be quite as sturdy as it is, to be honest with you. Yeah, 1,500 grams that is. So with the ball head there and the tripod leveler there. So this is really, really, really good. I'm very impressed with the Siru brand of tripod anyway. Value for money, this is exceptional. Really, really do enjoy using this tripod. I do use it for my pro work as well, it's that strong. It's a really good video tripod because it's so light. Yeah, so that's my tripod setup, and this is the K10X Siru tripod head as well. Really, really nice. I like having just the one knob there to control the movement of the camera. And as I said, that's the tripod leveling system, which you can pick off Amazon for about 40, 45 quid. Brilliant, because I love doing my panoramics. They're a really, really quick way of leveling the camera very, very quickly and very easily. Yeah, love that system. So yeah, I put a link to that in the bottom. I can highly recommend. A few of you have actually sort of told me that you've bought these after watching my videos as well. So thanks for picking them up. I hope you're enjoying them. They're brilliant. Really, really, really recommend them. Okay, what's next? Right then. Okay, so back into the bag. So like a TARDIS, this thing is. It actually contains loads. So I'll work through what I put where. I always have my head torch. This one is a Petzl Actic Core rechargeable head torch. It's absolutely fantastic. I picked that up for about £40. Very, very good value for money, and I say it's rechargeable. Stick it in the car, whatever. It takes a couple of hours and it's fully charged. Brilliant, brilliant. The power on this thing is incredible. Definitely recommend that. So that's the Petzl Actic Core. I'll put a link to that. That's superb. Okay, what else have we got? The next pocket down. This is a bit of a luxury, and for my YouTube channel, I always bring my drone. And to be honest with you, I love some of the photographs I can get off this as well. So this is a MAVIC Air drone, and I do have a spare battery in one of the bags as well. But yeah, just a MAVIC Air. Little tiny thing, fantastic, don't weigh anything. What do they weigh? It says 800 grams, that is. Yeah, good. Like that, don't go anywhere without my Mavic. Do like that. Next thing on the back, we've got my water hydration system. This is an Osprey water bag. It holds 2 litres. I normally around the 1.5 to 2 litres mark, depending how much walking I'm likely to be doing. 2 litres is kind of a minimum for wild camping. If you're going to be needing coffee or to cook your food and stuff like that, so 2 litres. And then on the side here, I've got another metal sort of water bottle, which has got 1/2 litre in there as well. So that one will probably be for the coffee. if I know I need to make extra allowances for the coffee that's there. Okay, and tripod's in the pocket. On the front, sometimes if I'm going somewhere I don't know and I don't exactly know where I'm going to be camping, I always put a map in the front of the bag. I'll open up the bag. There is a compartment on the top there for your car keys. I only tend to use my car keys in there. Okay, so this is the order I tend to pack everything, mainly so that as I get to a location, if I want to take a photograph, as soon as I open my bag, I can get access to my camera straight away. So the last thing to go in the bag is the camera bag. Let's put that down there. Okay, so this I can't recommend highly enough. This is a TENBA byob 10. So this is a fantastic little ICU, I suppose they're called. It's perfect. I mean, I've got my 70-200 f4 lens there, Sony. I've got my Sony A7 III with a 24-70 f4 lens on there. I've also got a small rig L bracket. I mean, these are custom for the Sony, but you don't need to get a custom one. You can get cheap ones off Amazon. And then I've got my Tacchina Fearing 20mm f2, so that pops in the side there as well, so that just goes in the bottom there, dead easy. Nice little lens that is for wild camping because it's so small. And then that will just go in the top there. Obviously got my polarizer on the top there as well, so that will go in there. I've got obviously the Peak Design lash straps on there as well, so I can wander around with that. I'll keep my filters, perhaps I shouldn't be doing this, but I'll keep my filters just in the front here. I've got a ND Grad. I tend to take one ND Grad. This is an ND 8.9 Grad filter, so that'll go in that one. That's resin, so that's not going to break. But in this pocket, I've got my two glass Nissi filters. I've got an ND8 and a 10-stop Nissi filter. These have both got rubber gaskets on there, so foam gaskets, so they protect each other quite nicely. So I know that they're glass and they always go facing up, so they'll be fine there like that. On the side then, because don't ask me why, but the Sony doesn't have a intervalometer built in, so my intervalometer goes in the side there. Try not to use that if I can avoid it. But yeah, with the Sony not having a built-in intervalometer, got no choice, I guess. And on the other side there, I've got I try to have loads of these in every single pocket, so just a lens wipe there. I've actually got one in the top there, and in the top there also I've got some spare batteries, spare one for the video camera, spare one for the Sony, and another lens wipe. Okay, so that's that sort of. I can't recommend these enough. I did actually used to use the f-stop IC. I've got 2 or 3 of these as well. I don't think the quality is comparable between the two. I think the f-stop bags are good and they're great when they're in the f-stop angina bag or whatever you're using. I think they're fantastic for that, but for wall camping and just being able to it's just a standalone bag as well. It doubles up as its own bag. It's absolutely, I can't fault it. I think it's superb. These are good, but definitely when you've got any weight in and you're hanging them up like that, I just don't feel as rigid as this. So yeah, can't rate that enough. The TENBA byob 10. This is I've obviously got the Peak Design strap on there as well, so it just means that when I get there I can wander around with that. Like a standalone bag, absolutely fantastic. So that is my camera system. I don't think oh yeah, on the back then I've got my filter holder, which clips in the back there. This is a FORMATT HITECH filter, Firecrest filter holder. Nice quality metal filter holder, good. So that whole system weighs in at 3.7 kilos. So not bad. Since I've gone to mirrorless, things have got a lot lighter, which is good. Next in the bag, I tend to keep quick access to my waterproofs. I've got them in a separate dry bag. Basically, this is an 8-litre OSPREY dry bag, and I've got my RAB LITRE, I think it's called, and RAB waterproof trousers. Just a quick, if you just start tipping it down, you get access to them dead quick. And yeah, it's always handy to keep them at the top of the bag. Okay, that's that. And that bag's good because it compresses down quite nice. That jacket's a bit heavy, to be honest. I've got a cheap one, which is still a good waterproof from MONTANE, which is not as insulated, but weighs quite a lot less than that. So if I'm conscious of weight, I will swap out that RAB. I do actually tend to keep all my bags, all my clothing, everything in dry bags. But I have ordered the VANGO dry bags because they're all different colours. And basically what I'll do is the green one, I'll keep all my clothes in it. So I know that when I'm looking for gloves or something or a hat, it's going to be in the green bag. I might have a thermal pair of trousers in here as well, which are just there. But this is pretty much all I have in here. So Wally hat, really light packable Montane gloves, and this is a RAB MICROLITE, I think they call them, down insulated jacket. If I'm going somewhere super cold, I'll bring this one instead. This is a RAB Electron, so it's a bit more, a bit bigger as a pack down, but it's a lot more insulated than that one. But this one's really good because it goes underneath my waterproof really well. So that is the RAB MICROLITE, I think they call them. Fantastic little coats, really good. Yeah, just a Wally hat. So, and as I say, if we're going anywhere cold, I've got some insulated trousers I'll put in there as well. So the green bag is for all the clothes, and that weighs in at just over 500 grams. Nothing at all. All adds up though. Next up, I've got my orange bag, and in this this is all my cooking stuff. So I know that everything that's going to be potentially dirty goes into this one. So I've got a metal cup for my coffee. Don't always bring it, but there's a hip flask. I've got my coffee. I only bring a little bit of that, just try and keep the weight down. A new addition to my camping gear, but one of my favourite additions is my AEROPRESS coffee press. Can't tell you how good that is. If you're gonna start wild camping, pick that, and you like coffee, pick one of them up. It's one of the best things you'll buy. I use that at work as well. It's absolutely fantastic. The coffee out of it's stunning. Pot noodle. I like pot noodles because they taste great, but they don't weigh anything without any water in. So just keep weight down. Pot noodles are really good. Any dry food is a really good way to go. I used to use the Wayfarer meals, but I found them to be a bit heavy. So yeah, so we've got our hiking snack bar. The breakfast bars, I normally go for something like a nature bar, whatever you want to call them, and then a couple of soups if I fancy, and then that's just a measuring spoon for the coffee, and then a couple of sporks. I normally have two of these with me, one for the coffee to stir the coffee, and one then to eat. So keep one clean at all times. Makes life a lot more pleasant on the mountain. And that weighs in at 800 grams. 800 grams. Okay, next up, I've got this little pouch. This is just something I know to go to as soon as I get to the tent. The tent's been put up. This is one of the things I need to keep handy. It's got a few handy things in there, like toilet roll for obvious reasons, a little light which will clip on in the inside of the tent. This is superb actually, tiny little thing, doesn't weigh anything, and it literally lights the tent up. I love that. So this is a Lumo little thing. I don't know, brilliant actually. Yeah. What else we got? Paracetamols. I never go anywhere without paracetamols. Earplugs, just in case it's howling with wind, and a few spare tent pegs, just in case somebody forgets them. Okay, so this me and Karis have just picked up one of these each. This is a Cedar Summit Eros pillow. I've got to be honest, I've used it 2 or 3 times. Karis hasn't used hers yet. It's just an inflatable pillow. Literally is just a couple of blows in there, and it's, get it quite soft, don't blow it up too much. It weighs literally nothing, and it's so comfortable. It's about £25, but I can't rate that enough. I mean, that's going to be about 30 grams, that thing is. It's just ridiculous. Yeah, 30 grams. Absolutely superb. Really good thing that is. I'm glad I picked that up. So that's that little pouch there. Sometimes I'll put another spare battery in there for the camera or for the drone or something as well. So I've got batteries in other places. Yeah, so that's just a little bag that came free with a low pro bag I bought once. What's next? Now I've got the blue bag. The blue bag doesn't always come with me. It should do really, because it's got first aid stuff in it. It's got, if I'm going to wear hot, suntan lotion. I normally go for a factor 50 because there's nothing worse than worrying about sunburn on the mountain. And a head net if you're going anywhere that you might get mosquitoes or something, and lip suntan lotion, another cloth for my lenses, spare batteries, strangely they shouldn't be in there, but spare batteries for the little light, they should have been in the other bag, a compass. So this is a bag that I know, these non-essentials are in there, apart from perhaps the compass maybe. You shouldn't really go anywhere without a first aid kit. I normally use that for, obviously for paracetamols and stuff like that, but bandages are in there and stuff. Okay, so the next thing, looks nothing, but it's absolutely fantastic. It is literally a kneeling mat, but it has so many uses if you're cooking and stuff. You can kneel on this while you're cooking your dinner. If you're sitting outside with your friends socialising, you can use this and sit on. Keeps the cold away from you. It literally weighs nothing. It's got loads of uses. And to be honest with you, when I'm sleeping, I'll put this at the bottom of my sleeping mat so that if my feet go off it, then they're still not touching the cold surface. The feet will be on this, so it's really handy. I wouldn't go anywhere without that. If I actually take that for my normal landscape photography shoots, I normally take that with me as well. Just goes in the side. If you see a wet rock or whatever, you've got something to sit on. It's absolutely brilliant. About £3, and literally no point weighing that because it doesn't weigh anything. Next thing I've got is this water to go bottle. I'll only take this if I'm going somewhere that A, I need to try and keep water weight down, and B, I know there's actually going to be a clean water source. There's no point taking this up a mountain if you know that at the top there's not going to be any water. But it's absolutely brilliant. You literally put non-stagnant water, obviously from a stream that hasn't got any animals or something nearby. Stick that in there. Give it 15 minutes, shake it around, give it a chance for the carbon and all the stuff that's in the filter to react, and then you drink out of that. It's completely perfect. Yeah, this is about £13. This was recommended to me in a shop when we were in Snowdonia once, and it's been fantastic. It really has saved me bacon on a few occasions. So next I've got one of my favourite purchases. The lid's come off it, but this is my jet boil. I can't tell you how good this is. It's absolutely brilliant. So the jet boil has everything inside, a little camping stove. So that clips on there, and that screws on there, and then that goes on top of there, and then it's a windproof. But if you get the right gas, it'll go down to minus 25 degrees. It is absolutely fantastic. You can cook your dinner in it. You can boil. You can use it as a kettle. It's it's just brilliant. Then obviously another spork on the side there. But no, these are quite expensive. But they're actually, I bought this I think from Decathlon or something like that, and it was about £60. So it's one of the best £60 I've ever spent to do with wild camping. It's absolutely, I wouldn't go anywhere without that. In fact, it's another thing I take to work with me, and it's very, very handy indeed. So just remember that goes back in there. So that goes on top of that. That goes on top of that. And then what's also should be in there, just fell out, is you can buy them with the igniter built into them, but I wouldn't do that. I would recommend just getting one without the ignition built in and just get a separate ignition thing, because the ones built in do tend to be temperamental, and you'd have to bring one of these separately anyway. So this would be my option. It's a tad small, but if you're going on your own, this is the Jet Boil Zip, I think it's called, Jet Boil Zip. So it's the smaller of the family. They do giant ones. And that weighs in 500 grams. It's actually heavier than I thought, but yeah, 500 grams. Right, okie dokie. Next up, we've got my EXPED down mat. This has just been a godsend. This again was recommended to me by a few friends, few shops. I know my friend Grant uses these. They're absolutely superb. They can be quite expensive, but if you look out for them on a deal, I think I paid about £60–70 for this one. I've got two, one for me and one for Gareth, and it's a fantastic little sleeping mat. So comes with a pump, and what you do is you give it, the pump will inflate it like that, but it's actually got down in the top of it's like a lilo, but it's got down in the top of it, so it keeps your body heat away, your body temperature away from the cold surface by about 5 or 6 centimeters. Yeah, obviously because it's got the down insulation, it's it can go to about -6, I think. I'll put accurately how far down in temperature you can go, but it's really, really comfortable. I can't really recommend this enough. It's been superb. So yeah, very, very highly recommended that. So definitely something you don't want to compromise on if you're getting into wild camping and you're going to start spending money. This is definitely one of the things I would recommend you spend the money on, a good sleeping system. Okay, next thing I've got is my tent. So I've got two tent options. My bag's hit the floor. Now this is just kind of falling out of the bag because I haven't done it all properly, but this is my Crux X2 Storm tent. So this is a 4-season winter, very, very strong, built like an absolute tank tent. It is an expensive tent, but I tell you what, I can't speak highly enough of the Crux tents. They're absolutely bomb-proof, and I know in good strong wind, this is in very heavy wind, this is going to be absolutely rock solid as well. So what I tend to do though is I tend to pack the tent poles and the tent separately. This is an EXPED SCHNOZZEL-BAG. This is actually designed to inflate the mat, so you trap all the air in there, and you can push the air straight into the mat using that. but I find it works very, very well as a wet tent bag. So what I do, because this is an inner pitch first, I put the outer part of the tent in first, and then I can grab the inner straight away. And then obviously when you're packing up, it's dead easy to get it in the bag when it's wet. Having this hole at the bottom there, I can just sort of push all the air through it, and it will compress down nicely into the bag. Obviously you can wrap that around there, and it keeps everything else from getting wet as well. This is quite a heavy tent. It's as I say, a 4-season tent. It's a very strong tent, so there's no real compromise on the tent. It's probably the most important part of any wild camp. For me, I wouldn't recommend anybody goes out and buy compromises on the quality of a tent. Well, if you're going to do that, you need to be aware of the sort of environments you're going to be pitched in, and make sure that even if you bought a cheap tent, make sure it's going to be okay for the environment, like the wind, the rain. And it's just, especially in the UK, when it's just so unpredictable. I've been very thankful I've been in this tent on a few occasions. So this tent, I won't bother weighing that because it hasn't got the poles on it. But together with the poles, this weighs about 2.6, 2.7 kilos. So it's quite a heavy tent, but it's definitely worth carrying the extra weight for that. Okay, so next is the poles for the tent. Say this is part of the crux system. I have the poles separately so that I can push them down the back of the bag, and then I can force everything else that's not rigid down into the bag. It just means that I get to save quite a lot of space, and also it just means that I can get there. I haven't got to worry about that so much. I can just get the poles out straight away, and I can pitch the poles up and get them ready to go without anything blowing away. So obviously when you're taking a tent, putting a tent up on a mountain and it's blowing a gale, you want as little of these very, very light bags hanging around as possible. So I tend to put this separate. So I've got this in the bag. If I'm putting the tent up, I can leave the tent in the bag, and I've only just got this one bag to get out. So yeah, that's how I tend to pitch, and obviously the tent pegs are in there. Always carry a few extra tent pegs as well. So that's the tent sorted. And last, I think, is my sleeping bag. So obviously there's the second part of the sleeping system is your tent, first being your air mat, third being your sleeping bag. 3 areas of wild camping you do not want to compromise on. I adore this sleeping bag. It's a ASCENT 500. As you can see, it compresses down to absolutely nothing. It's a down sleeping bag. There's an age-old debate of whether or not a down versus a synthetic. I would go down every time, but obviously it's crucial that you keep the down bag dry. Down compresses less, it weighs less. It compresses more, weighs less, and it's a better insulator. So certainly, I mean, we in this country never really gets that cold unless you're on the top of Ben Nevis or something like that, top of Snowdon in the winter. But this is a good. I'm quite a cold sleeper, so this is probably most of this would be my winter sleeping system. But during the summer, because I've never actually camped anywhere in the summer that's been that warm, this has been a good bag for taking me throughout the year. So very, very highly recommended this sleeping bag. So it just compresses down into this little bag, and yeah, it's been really good. It does actually shed off a little bit of water on the outside of it as well. So if it does get slightly wet in the night with condensation, it's not actually a problem for the sleeping bag. So yeah, very, very good. So this weighs in at 1,200 grams, so 1.2 kilos. So not the lightest sleeping bag, but yeah, I do really like that. That is everything, I think. I'll just check that I haven't missed anything out, but yeah, just a little water bottle on the side there, 500 ml. The only thing I recommend is putting just a few sugary snacks. I've normally got Haribos or something in that pocket there, a Snickers or a Trial bar in that one. Anything sugary, you can bring fruit or whatever. Jelly babies, just to keep your sugar up, dead important as you're hiking. But that is pretty much everything. So that's the gear sorted. There's a few other things I wanted to talk to you about, important things about wild camping and landscape photography, just things that you need to be aware of, things you need to plan for, that sort of thing. So obviously the difference crucially when you're buying gear is that you make sure if you're going out for the first time, you're buying gear for the right season. So if you're going out in December, you make sure you're buying winter camping gear. It's very important that you know the limits of your gear. There's not very many things out there that are actual 4-season gear. If you're going to use anything that's 4-season, it means you're going to sweat in it in the summer, or if it's suitable for the summer, you're probably going to freeze in the winter. So make sure you do dress accordingly and you do pack accordingly, and your tent is going to be suitable for either the summer or camping conditions. So it needs to be strong in the wind, it needs to be insulated, it needs to, you know, make sure you're going to be safe, as does your sleeping bag. It needs to make sure that if the temperatures do drop, you're going to be insulated, and the sleeping mat needs to make sure that you're off that cold ground. So definitely make sure you know the limits of your camping gear. Everything will be rated, so do keep an eye on that when you're buying it. Always prepare for the worst. If you're obviously with Britain, it's quite unpredictable, but we never actually get it that cold unless you're on the top of a mountain or top of Ben Nevis or something like that, top of Snowdon in the winter. But do be prepared for, obviously hope for the best, but be prepared for the worst weather as well. I always bring waterproofs, I always bring windproofs, I always bring a down jacket just in case. And if you're sitting around outside talking to your friends, it can get cold like that anyway. It's never that warm on a night in Britain, so it's always worth carrying them clothes. Do check the weather before you go, a couple of days before, and again on the morning you go or the night before you go, just to make sure. Look at the pressure map, see if you can see any storms coming in. Take it deadly serious. You can get stuck. Been there, done that. So yeah, do take the weather serious. Do as much research as you can and be prepared for it. I wouldn't recommend buying cheap gear because a lot of it breaks. It doesn't. I mean, I started off with the bottom of the range stuff, and it did me a few times. But then you don't feel as confident in it. It doesn't seem like it's going to last. And obviously, if you're up a mountain or if you're somewhere away from home, you want to be confident in the gear that you're using. So I wouldn't recommend, and it's false economy as well, because as soon as wild camping is addictive. You are going to enjoy it. So as soon as you start enjoying it, you're going to end up going out and buying the better stuff anyway, just so it's going to last you longer. I mean, my tents and all my stuff, I hope it's going to last me a long time. Otherwise, it's an awful lot of money to waste. So yeah, I wouldn't recommend buying cheap gear. Make sure you're not on private land. It's very difficult sometimes to find out whether the land's private or public access. If you are going to be on private land, make sure you ask permission first for whoever's land it is. They can get really difficult with you and ask you to shift on in the middle of the night out, so that's not very nice, and you can be faced with fines in certain instances as well. So yeah, don't camp on someone's land without their permission. Don't wear cotton. I'm wearing synthetic everything. I've got like a mid layer, quite thick base layer on, and then underneath that I've got a sports t-shirt on, just a Nike sports t-shirt. And that's crucially so that if you're hiking or you're getting to your tent and you're soaking wet because you've been sweating or whatever, the clothes are going to wick the moisture away from my body. So during the night, the moisture will get further away from my body, and then it will dry. If you're wearing cotton doesn't wick, it stays wet, and then obviously when you stop moving, the moisture will go cold, and then you could get ill just based on how cold how cold and wet your t-shirts and your clothing is. Even down to underwear and base layers, you'll notice that they're all synthetic. Try and avoid any cotton on your body at all. Yeah, so trousers wise, I always bring like a pair of windproof trousers. If I'm going up top of a mountain, I'll bring some thermal trousers as well for the winter, just like a fleece lined trouser. Add a bit of extra weight, but at least you know you're going to be safe. This is a great idea. It's a zip-on hoodie, and obviously it's got the hood there, so if I'm in the tent at night, I can just chuck the hood over my head if it starts getting cold. And obviously then if it gets really cold, I've got my woolly hat as well. But no, this is all good because it's all breathable. It wicks everything away, so it's absolutely fantastic. Yeah. Have an idea where you're going to camp. Make sure you've researched the area, even if you don't know exactly. Have an idea where you're going to camp, and anybody, if at all possible, make sure that somebody who's not coming knows exactly where you're going to be camping as well, just in case you get into difficulties and they haven't heard from you. They know exactly where you were. Anything goes wrong, they know where to look. And obviously you need to make sure that there's options there for if it's ridiculously windy when you get there, you can come down a little bit, you can get out the wind. So just have an idea, bit of preparation. So pack as light as possible. I've gone a bit obsessive over the weight of all my gear, purely because if I don't know how far I'm going to be walking or how high I'm going to be walking, every kilo makes a massive difference. So I do tend to literally pack exactly what I need, with the exception of the vlogging camera and the drone. There's even down to batteries, spare batteries, things like that. So yeah, do take notice of everything you're packing, because it does all add up, and if you can save half a kilo, a couple of grams here, there and everywhere, do it. Honestly, you will be thankful for doing that. Yeah, definitely want to keep an eye on the weight of your bag. And I'm just going to say again, don't leave any mess anywhere. If you're going to, anything you take up a mountain, bring down the mountain. There's an awful problem in Snowdonia and a few of the places I've been with people wild camping and leaving their rubbish there. It's going to make it very, very difficult for the rest of us to enjoy these environments if it looks like somebody's just sort of abandoned everything there. It looks like Glastonbury, some parts of Snowdonia. So yeah, please don't do leaving any litter. It's spoiling the environment, and it's completely unacceptable, really. I don't know why people do it. Bring a bag. I normally use the bag I have my food in, just to chuck all my food back waste in there. And then obviously if you need to use the toilet facilities, make sure you dig deep enough to form a toilet. But yeah, please be respectful for the land and other people that might be enjoying it as well. Anyway, that is it. I've probably rambled on too much. I hope that's been useful, and I hope I haven't got anything wrong. If there's anything that anybody can say that perhaps I needed to add to the video, feel free to drop me a comment. I look forward to that. Any tips, advice for me, I'm more than welcome to hear that as well. But yeah, please go out and enjoy the environment. Please go out and enjoy the mountains. Be responsible. You'll have a great time. Yeah, thanks so much for watching. Take care.